Hey guys, in today's video we're going to go through the Carlsen Nepomniachtchi World Chess Championship 2021 match predictions. This is an article that I wrote for chess.com. I'll put a link in the description below if you would rather just go read the article. But today we're going to do a little bit of story time with Matt. I'm going to read this article to you and talk a little bit about the stats and the data that went into the predictions of this article. So as we all know, Magnus Carlsen is the current champion. Ian Nepomniachtchi will be the challenger. And let's just go through this article. So fans have waited 3 years for the 2021 World Chess Championship, which will feature world champion Magnus Carlsen and GM Ian Nepomniachtchi. The unusual waiting period caused by the COVID-19 pandemic has heightened chess fans' expectations for the most important chess encounter in recent memory. If you're not familiar with the way the 2021 World Chess Championship works, there's another article here that highlights all you need to know about the details and the rules for the match. So to qualify for the challenger role, Nepomniachtchi won the 2020 to 2021 FIDE Candidates Tournament in a field of 8 world-class grandmasters. He clinched first place before the last round when he lost to Chinese GM Ding Liren, and despite the last round mishap, he had a 28.49 performance rating in the event, which is 2 points higher than Magnus Carlsen's classical rating. So Carlsen has had like a 28.50 rating for a long time now. Different players come up to the number 2 slot. They can get to like 28.20, 28.30. Caruana was even 28.40 plus, but then they tend to fall back down. So Carlsen's the only player that's like consistently held this 28.50 level, and that's why this is important, that Nepomniachtchi had a 28.49 performance rating in the candidates. So at the time of this publication, chess.com had a survey. 84% of chess.com survey participants thought that Magnus would be the champion. Only 16% predicted Nepomniachtchi to win. So Carlsen's fans are optimistic, but I wanted to dig into some numbers. So let's look at some stats here. Prediction methodology. So first what I had to do was understand the parameters of the match. So there's a classical portion, which is 14 classical games. Of note, this is 2 additional games over the previous Carlsen title matches. The reason this is important is because the more classical games there are, the better the odds that the stronger player in classical time control wins the match. So think of like a 2-game match. There's a lot of luck involved. If you just happen to have one really good game, the other game's a draw, boom, the underdog wins the match. But in a 14-game match, the stronger player is going to tend to win more, and that reduces the variability. So if one player gets 7.5 out of 14, he's determined the winner. If there's a tie after 14 games, a 4-game rapid tiebreak is played. So we've seen that before in previous Carlsen matches against Karyakin and against Caruana. They've gone to tiebreaks. And then if there's still a tie, there's a 2-game blitz match to break the tie. And if those are tied, 2 more blitz games, still a tie, a sudden death game is played. So what we're doing in this article is we're running 1,000 simulations for each of these segments to help determine the odds. But what we need to do is feed the models with the predicted points per game and an estimated draw rate to be able to create these simulations. So one thing with running simulations is they're only as good as the input data, right? So we want to give the simulations the best input data possible to try to create our odds, right? So we don't want to just put garbage in because then we'll get garbage out. So first let's look at the classical segment. Yep, so we mentioned here 14 games favors the stronger player over a 12-game match. And now looking at the ratings of the players, this is interesting. Back in 2003, Jan had a rating of 24.19 and Magnus was 23.56. So these two played each other quite a bit as junior players. But then look at this rise by Carlsen. And he's been consistently higher than Jan for their whole careers. But lately, Jan is on this very steady increase. right? So Jan is kind of at the prime of his career right now. He's never been this high. Whereas Magnus's prime, you could argue a few different points in his career. He's not at his current high, but he's definitely still at a very strong rating. Now here's an intriguing stat. Nepomniachtchi leads Carlsen in previous classical games 4-1 with 6 draws. So to help build the prediction model, I tracked stats from the last 16 World Championship matches dating all the way back to 1985, the match between Kasparov and Karpov. And what I found was that in previous matches, head-to-head scores were not a strong predictor of future match scores. For example, in the 2013 championship, Carlsen defeated Anand twice with the black pieces, even though he had never won with black in their past 13 encounters. The strongest predictor of performance is the current FIDE rating of the players. There's probably no surprise there. Based on the rating difference in all previous matches, we would expect the champion to score 54.7%, or in other words, 0.547 points per game. However, the actual score was 51.3% for the Norwegian, a stat that should make Nepomniachtchi fans happy. So Magnus is underperforming a bit in his previous matches. So here I'm estimating Carlsen to score 55% based on the FIDE ratings. Okay, so the FIDE rating difference here is high, right? This isn't two players with similar ratings. But also I wanted to pull down that difference a bit because in the past, the matches tend to be more equal than the ratings would suggest. So that's what this is saying. Then next we need to determine the draw rate. So I'm going to use a combination of the expected score and the average rating of the two players to estimate the draw rate at 73%, slightly above the historical average of 71%. And then for rapid and blitz tie breaks, the odds of the match ending classical in a tie is 85%. So that format's going to get the most attention. But past rapid and blitz events have seen Carlsen scoring around 58% against Nepomniachtchi, even though their 100-point rating gap would estimate Carlsen at 64%. So again, we see the rating gap suggests a certain percentage for Carlsen, but for whatever reason against Nepomniachtchi, they perform as if their ratings are closer. So that's a good stat, again, for Nepomniachtchi fans. Nepomniachtchi has scored some wins against Carlsen recently in the Magnus Carlsen Invitational, the Skilling Open, St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, and Legends of Chess event. So if we look at some of these head-to-head matches, Nepomniachtchi actually is doing pretty well. And we also need to keep in mind that online chess and over-the-board chess are not the same. So we're going to estimate Carlsen at 58% in rapid, 59% in blitz, with draw rates of 50% in rapid and 25% in blitz. And those are rough estimates based on previous events. All right, let's get to the simulations. So here we go. Running 1,000 simulations on the classical match, Carlsen wins 68.9%. Nepomniachtchi 16.5%, and a 14% chance of a tiebreaker. So what's interesting here is in previous matches, like Carlsen versus Caruana, they had very similar ratings. It'll be interesting to see if Carlsen tries harder to win in the classical event because he has a larger rating gap than he did in the Caruana match. All right, so then the next thing I did, I ran another 1,000 simulations to estimate the odds of each player winning in the event that the match goes to a rapid segment. And then we did the same thing for the blitz tiebreakers. For the Armageddon game, I assigned a 60% chance for Carlsen to win. So here's a table showing the odds of the players winning if it gets to each portion. So we see the 69% in classical. If they get to the rapid segment, it's only a 56% chance for Carlsen, 20% Nepomniachtchi, with an additional 25% going to the tiebreak. If they get to blitz, 46%, Blitz 2 was also 46, and Armageddon 60. Armageddon we really don't know. 60 was my best guess. But if you look at these other segments, classical to rapid to blitz, as we reach each additional segment, the odds of Carlsen goes down, and the odds of getting to the further tiebreaks goes up. So a good strategy for Nepomniachtchi might be, let's drag the match on. We know Carlsen's a beast in classical. We know he's strong in every segment, but there's less draws and less games in the tiebreakers. Less draws and less games, so there's a lot more variation in terms of, could Nepomniachtchi get a win, have a great game, have Carlsen have a bad game, and boom, he wins based on blitz games or based on rapid games. Now here's another way to look at it. Odds to win at the start of each segment. And I like this one a lot. I think this is even more telling than the previous table. So at the start of the match, we're looking at 80% for Carlsen, 21 Nepomniachtchi. There's some rounding here, that's why those add to 101. If they get to rapid, it goes down to 72 Carlsen, 28 Nepomniachtchi. So this factors in the tie breaks if needed, right? So these classical percentages factor in if they go to a tiebreaker. These factor in if they go to a further tiebreaker. So as each segment happens, the odds go down for Carlsen. So this table does a nice job showing that the longer match favors Nepomniachtchi compared to the shorter match. Odds increase from 20.5% in classical all the way up to 40% if it gets to the Armageddon. Almost a twofold increase. That's really amazing. So in conclusion, the online odds for this match at the time of publication were minus 350 Carlsen, plus 230 Nepomniachtchi, which approximates to about a 72% chance of Carlsen winning the match. However, if Nepomniachtchi can perform at his 28-49 candidates level and match his past performance against Carlsen, I think it's very close to a 50-50 match. So this is a match that if Nepomniachtchi really comes at his strongest and psychologically he has no issues playing against Carlsen, which he doesn't seem to in the past, I think Nepomniachtchi has a great chance of being able to win this match. However, if Carlsen performs purely as the rating differences would predict, his odds would actually be even higher than 80%. Alright, so here's one additional fun statistic I found while researching the match. In the past 17 World Championship matches, only 3 times the challenger has won the crown, and they were at least 12 years younger than the champion. So in this case, the players are about the same age. But in the past 17 World Championship matches, usually the championship only changes hands when there's a younger up-and-comer. So we've seen like Carlsen champion for a long time, Kasparov was champion for a long time, Karpov for a long time. They don't really get dethroned, these great champions, until a youngster comes in who's hungry and they're ready to reign for another 10 years or something. Right, so this match we're seeing 2 players of similar age, and historically the champion retains their title. So let me know in the description below, in the comments below, let me know, who do you think is going to win the match? What do you think the score will be? What do you think of these odds? You know, it looks like we're looking at somewhere between 70 or 80% chance for Carlsen to win, depending on what you look at. What do you think, though? Who's going to win? Who are you rooting for as well? Put that in the comments below. I appreciate you guys watching. Please give the video a like. Check out the article on chess.com, link in the description, and there will be a lot of other great content coming out for this match on chess.com. So thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and we'll see you in the next video.